Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCurry, and Tom Hayes.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network here on a Wednesday afternoon from downtown Columbia. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and the Professor Tom Hayes should be joining us here in just a little bit. For those of you watching us on our live video feed, K-Mac in the empty chair tonight is the Professor. The week could be filled in just a little bit. We have Barry, Larkin, Belton, Honeypath running things tonight. I'm sure we'll have a nice, smooth sailing of the program tonight. And the state man, Graham Pope, is here in a reserve capacity as well, though he is being fully paid for doing nothing tonight. 800-956-7266 is the number. All right, we're going to take this first half hour to put to bed Dabo Swinney, the Palmetto Family Council, and all that. Then we're going to go back to have some fun. We've got Ray Tanner coming up at the bottom of the hour. He's going to take off his coat and tie for the most part as the athletic director at South Carolina and put his baseball cap on because next year he goes on the selection committee for the NCAA baseball tournament. So I thought it'd be kind of neat to have him on with us to talk about this year's field, what he agreed with, what he didn't agree with. 7:30. We're going to have a joint conversation. We're not going to have a joint, K-Mac. I know they got you excited.
Man, I got excited for a minute.
No. We're going to have a joint conversation with Bill McDonald and Larry Penley, golf coaches from USC and Clemson. They are getting ready for the NCAA championships beginning on Friday with their teams. So we'll have them with us as well. Sorry to passing of Bill Foster, longtime Clemson basketball coach at Charlotte, basketball coach at Miami. Terrific man, passed away today after a long illness at the age of 79. And hope to be catching up with Dwight Rainey tonight if possible, who served under Coach Foster at Clemson before becoming an administrator with the Tigers. So that's what we have coming up tonight. It's a jam-packed show. K-Mac, I know you were busy last night on our Twitter feed. It really was smoking last night. Some very hot opinions on both sides of the aisle over this Dabo Swinney deal. If you haven't heard the news, Swinney put out a statement today that he is not going to attend the function next week in Columbia where he was, according to the release promoting it, he was supposed to speak at this function and also receive an award in honor of his foundation and its work. But he announced today he's not going to go.
Not going to go. And not really surprised. And I was hypothesizing earlier in a piece that I was when I said he probably should not go. And my hypothesis was he probably didn't realize everything that was involved with this group. They told me he was getting an award. Okay. And then when he found out, he said, wait a minute, that's not everything I signed up for. And that's essentially what he said in the statement. That's not everything I signed up for. I'm not being political about my beliefs. I'm not going to be a part of that.
Okay, we've got statements from Dabo and the organization and our takes on it coming up. All right, we are back with you here on Sports Talk. Good to have you with us wherever you're dialed in around the state. I hope you're getting some of this rain that came through hot and heavy in Columbia this afternoon. I know we need it in parts of the states. Got a good dousing, felt good. Get that on the yard, get the fertilizer worked in, see the green grass start pushing up toward the sky so we can mow it down in a couple of days. 800-956-7266 is our number. Many of you have been all over our Twitter feed the last 24 hours. I'll kind of let K-Mac recap that because he's been in the middle of it.
So the recap is it's been on the border of insane and completely crazy for probably the past 24 hours.
It's a passionate debate, which is good. It's always good to have a good, passionate debate because people care. All right. Now, first of all, I'll read you the statement from Dabo Swinney that was issued this afternoon. And he said, quote, in his statement, "I was recently selected by the Palmetto Family Council, an organization with which I have no association, as their South Carolina Family Champion of 2015 and was invited to receive this recognition at an event sponsored by the group on June 2nd. I had no idea that I was being invited into a political controversy. It was my understanding that the nomination and election for this award was based on the work done by our All In Foundation and the difference it is making in our community. My acceptance of this award was to be on behalf of all the volunteers that make our foundation a success. The work of our foundation is intended to build a better community and be a positive influence. Recently, my scheduled participation in this event has been perceived incorrectly as an endorsement of certain viewpoints and has entered the political arena. I have been out of town since last Thursday and am disappointed that this has become a distraction for me, my team, and many others. I have been and continue to be very open about my personal beliefs. However, I do not inject those beliefs or the work of the foundation into the political process. I appreciate the recognition of my and the foundation's efforts. However, after much thought, in order to avoid a distraction for the team and the entire football program, I decided it is the best interests of all involved that I not attend the event on June 2nd. I contacted Joe Galbraith, who is the assistant athletic director in charge of media relations at Clemson, and I asked Joe if Dabo had been in consultation with his superiors prior to issuing that statement. And Joe wrote back, quote, "Dabo has a great relationship with Dan Radakovich and President Clements, and they speak often. I can tell you that this was Dabo's decision, and he has the confidence and support of his bosses." End of quote. Now, later this afternoon, about a half hour ago, the Palmetto Family Council, through Reese Boyd III, who's the chairman of the board, issued a statement. Quote, "Unfortunately, recent false attacks from some angry liberal leaders in South Carolina have cast doubts on our organization, who we are, and what we stand for. These false attacks have gone so far as to insinuate we are a hate group that aims to harm South Carolinians. Nothing could be further from the truth. Palmetto Family Council is a pro-family organization dedicated to helping make South Carolina a great place to live and raise a family. We are committed to defending religious liberty and constitutional freedoms, and we honor others that stand up for those same liberties. We've worked tirelessly in the Palmetto State promoting South Carolina values for over 21 years. In fact, we have fought for tougher human trafficking laws, tax credits for marriage counseling, and to ban sexual predators from Facebook and allowing public officials to pray in their meetings. We care about South Carolina families, and we honor those that also work to promote families. It was our intent to recognize Coach Dabo Swinney's accomplishments, specifically the great work of his foundation, serving as a great role model, and for the strong testimony of his personal relationship with Christ. We understand Coach Swinney's reluctance to engage in or respond to petty political attacks, and we certainly appreciate his principled leadership on and off the field. We will continue to promote his good work and recognize others that do the same. Palmetto Family Council's summer event celebrating families 2015 will go on as scheduled with an exciting agenda honoring some terrific state leaders who defend religious liberties and freedom every day in South Carolina. It's a strange twist of irony that our opponents have unwittingly made our point that the religious freedom and liberties of all South Carolinians are under attack. As we have done in the past, Palmetto Family Council will continue to fight for South Carolina families and for our religious freedom and liberty for many years to come.
As long as those families are straight.
End wasn't in there. That was K-May.
That was there.
This
because
is,
they do eliminate that. No one's questioning that this group might not have some noble and great causes, but no one can also debate the fact that they are staunch. They're fighting the ruling in South Carolina that has legalized gay marriage. I mean, it's one thing to be against something and say, hey, I don't drink, so I'm not going to partake. It's another thing to be like, I don't drink, and now I'm lobbying to get prohibition brought back. They're lobbying, they want to take away the rights of those people, and that is why they are called an anti-LGBT group. Just to be clear,
what they stand for is what they stand for, and that's all well and good. Here is, after reading up on this thing, because I'll be honest with you, I'd never heard of this group before this.
Yeah.
I expect to see comments from Todd Rutherford, who did jump on our timeline last night on Twitter and participated with people. I expect to, when they announce the terrific state leaders who will be attending their event next week, I expect that he will come out and blast them as well. I can tell you from talking with some of the politicians today over at the State House that I am told by Democrats in particular, by people I talk to, that Todd Rutherford does not speak for the Democratic Party in the state legislature. In fact, I'm told that there's a letter being drafted now by some Democratic folks over there to separate themselves from this, that they don't want any part of this thing. And, part of my problem with the whole thing goes back to Todd Rutherford, because I don't know the answers to a couple of questions running through my mind. Number one, did he pick out Dabo Swinney because he's a football coach in our state? Did he pick out Dabo Swinney because he's the Clemson football coach in our state? Or was this just a case of him being against whoever it was that was going to be honored by this group on that particular night, whether it was a football coach or somebody that owned a grocery store who had done great things and was going to be honored by the group? If he did this because he's a football coach or a coach in our state, then I go back to what I said last night, and that is, Todd Rutherford has been in the state legislature since 1998. So he was in a position of power when we had the Confederate flag march in April of 2000. And we had four major head coaches march in that thing: Lou Holtz, Tommy Bowden, Eddie Fogler, Larry Shiat. Yet I couldn't find a peep from him about those four coaches taking a political stance. And is that because he agreed with their position and thus it was okay? And he is against Dabo because Dabo was going to take a position against him, and it's not okay.
Wasn't taking. The point of this to me is Dabo Swinney wasn't taking a position. I mean, I don't think Dabo Swinney went and committed to that event with the mindset of, I'm going to do this and as a way to stand with.
According to their flyer, he was going to speak.
He was going to be honored. According to Dabo Swinney, his own words, you read the statement, he was told he's going to be recognized for his charity, the All In Foundation, and he wanted to recognize the volunteers and what he's done from charitable work. Ray Tanner has been honored by this same group. I would venture to say, and Dabo Swinney has backed this up with his words, that he didn't realize that the political ties and connections to this group. And when he did, he said, that's not something I want to be a part of.
But
that's what he said.
No, seriously, do you think somebody would accept an award from a group and not know what they
everything? Absolutely. I mean, you don't know every tie. You're thinking, okay, the Palmetto, okay, that sounds
You're getting
good.
an award from the National Sports Writers and Sportscasters Association coming up next month.
Yeah, and I have not researched every charity that they've donated to.
Are you concerned about it?
Well, we'll
you
see
think maybe they support some hidden agendas?
A statement.
We'll be right back. All right, so back to just to wrap it up from my end. The thing that I think I'm bothered most by Todd Rutherford, who is a political leader in our state. He's the minority leader in the House. And, the way I see it, it could be singularly selecting Dabo Swinney here from where I sit. Because, again, this is not the first rodeo for this organization. They've had Tim Scott in to speak for him or to receive an awards. They've had Ray Tanner. They've had other prominent national folks in for them to receive awards. They've hosted presidential debates in our state over the years. Yet this is the first time this individual or anybody that I've heard, I'm not saying that I follow this stuff every day. Maybe some things have happened.
So you're stunned that a politician's trying to use something to make a political point? That's kind of what they do.
I'm a little bit, I'm a little
By
bit
trade.
I'm a little bit put out by the fact that he singles out a football coach who's done a lot of good with his foundation, who stands for a lot of positive things, has never showed in his actions anything but the best for his.
And I think that's why.
For his family and for his team and for his university, and represented them in the highest way. And so he's going to go accept this award from a group that you have differences with. And you basically blow it up by creating the firestorm. It really started with him, I guess. Had he not brought this up, would it have caught on anywhere else across the state, across the country?
Probably not. No, I mean, and so he looked at it, and the bottom line is he took it from the angle of the LBGT rights.
So why didn't he speak out when Tim Scott was honored?
Can I say something?
But why didn't he speak out when somebody else was honored? That's why I'm saying he picked out Dabo Swinney.
I don't know the timeline between this group and when they went out against the new law. See, we don't know that. Maybe
this group has always stood for what it stands for.
No, but I'm saying it was not law though then. Now it's law, and they're trying to get a law repealed.
In the past, and it's going to the Supreme Court now. I mean, if you understand what's happening now around the country, around the state, the issue is bigger now. So that's why it could come up now. And he didn't attack Dabo Swinney. This whole notion that Dabo Swinney was attacked, nobody attacked him. The question was asked and just raised. Why, do you realize what this group, now as somebody of your stature, and you're helping them fundraise for causes that include this one. And then Dabo's response was, you know what, I didn't realize that was involved. I didn't want to step into that. I thought it was just about being honored for my charity. That's not what I'm a part of. I have my beliefs. I have my values. I've made those clear, but I don't use my beliefs and values for political purposes or my foundation. He recused himself. I respect that. And this group can still raise money and fight for whatever cause that it believes in. And we'll see what happens. But I don't think that Dabo, it wasn't worth it, for him to be on the front page of the USA Today in the sports section, Dabo Swinney fundraising for an anti-LBGT group. That's not what Clemson and Dabo Swinney wanted to meet.
And plus, they'll probably do more fundraising.
This is great for the Palmetto Family Foundation. This is just
I will leave people with this. Mark 12, verses 30 and 31. Look them up.
Mark 12, verses 30 and 31. Oh, verses, as in the Bible. I thought you were talking about a competition.
No.
Okay. Ray Tanner coming up in a moment. All right, we are back. It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Around the states, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, the professor, Tom Hayes. Time to have a little fun as we welcome into the program USC Athletic Director Ray Tanner. But for now, he is baseball expert Ray Tanner, taking off the coat and tie and putting the uniform back on. The old number one coming out of mothballs. Slapping it on because this time next year, or maybe a week before this time next year, he'll be in that room picking the field, helping pick the field for the NCAA baseball tournament. Coach joins us from, I think, still down in Florida at the ACC meetings. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm doing well. I hope you are. And I am still in Destin. We'll be here until probably a little bit after lunchtime on Friday.
Till they give you the check, right?
Yeah,
you don't leave without the check, right?
Well, that's not why we're here, Phil. We're here all about legislation and doing the right things for our student athletes. But we will get a discount somewhere along the way.
Absolutely. You've worked hard for it. You deserve it. All right. The baseball tournament, first of all, in your position of a person who will be going on to the committee next year, I'm sure you are keeping up very closely with teams here a year out from when you become involved with that. What did you think of this year's field? Anything in particular kind of jump out at you?
Well, not too much didn't jump out at me. I didn't follow it as closely as I will next year, of course. But, you know, I was holding out hope that College of Charleston, and, of course, prejudice for Monty Lee, because I spent a lot of time with him, that he would be in the host field. And, you know, maybe because he didn't win his tournament, he had 2 one-run losses in his tournament. He didn't get it, but I was hoping that he might get a spot. I just looking at it maybe from a fan perspective, I thought he might have deserved a spot anyway as a host, but he didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's heading down to Tallahassee now, and then actually takes on Auburn in a noon game on Friday.
What about Coastal Carolina? Do you think that if they had won their tournament championship, do you think they were deserving of a host?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if their numbers were quite high enough to be in the conversation as far as the first one in, first one out. But certainly with their improved facility and their play, had they, you know, won maybe a few more games, much like the College of Charleston, they could have changed the conversation. And keep in mind that North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and Georgia were shut out as host sites. So I think the committee probably would have gone in that direction. At least one of those places had the opportunity presented itself.
Yeah, I think you got to go back to 2003. I think we looked it up. 2003, the last time South Carolina, the state of, didn't host a regional. What are your thoughts about the Palmetto State being shut out?
It's tough. I mean, as you know, you followed college baseball for a long time. It's very difficult, and there were many years that, you know, we had great teams. I remember one year in particular where we had 6 teams from the state of South Carolina playing in the postseason. But many times it's close at the end of the year, whether you win a series or lose a series, whether you get the host or whether you get in the tournament. And this year it just seemed like we were in a situation that aligned well at the wrong time. And, you know, that it happens. And hopefully it'll be a long time again before we miss a host opportunity.
Clemson, the last team to get in. Do you think Clemson deserved to be in the field?
You know, I can't tell you that, you know, unequivocally they deserve to be in, but if they were compared to North Carolina, although North Carolina's RPI was really high,
mm-hmm.
Clemson beat them head to head, and Clemson had a winning record in the ACC. North Carolina did not. So I think those are 2 of the metrics that play into it, and there are a lot of different factors, as we know. But if you're comparing those schools, then I support that selection. I don't know who else was in the mix, but they went down to Florida State at the end of the year and swept them in Tallahassee. So, and 3 games over 500 in the regular season was a loud statement, and beat Louisville in the ACC tournament.
So when you sit around that table next year, you've got these kind of decisions to make about Team A versus Team B. What's going to weigh heaviest on your mind? What a team did late in the season, what they did in their tournament, what they did, the full body of work. What's going to weigh heaviest on your mind?
Well, I'm not 100% sure, but you know, I think that certainly from my experience in the game for a long time, I understand the conferences and the conferences, and road wins make a big deal of difference to me. If teams can win on the road, that's very special. The body of work is important. The last 15, will they factor in? Probably so, but I would not want to penalize a team unless they just crash down the stretch. And but maybe the toughest 15 games you had are at the end of your schedule, so that makes a difference as well. So if you're pinning me down on one particular area, I'd have to say how you do on the road is a big factor with me.
Ray, with all the scholarship limits now, there seems to be more parity in baseball, and it seems like these powers like Texas and I guess South Carolina now, with them missing the tournament for the first time in so long. Do you think that's kind of a manifestation of the way the game has evolved now and changed? You see the College of Charleston now, kind of a power player in Coastal Carolina, and these mid-major schools making more noise, or is this just a cyclical thing?
Well, no, I think that it is parity in college baseball, and you can make the argument that with what's going on with the Power Five, that parity is not a big deal anymore. But college baseball, I believe, is the exception. And I've said this before, but I think a lot of credit has to go to college presidents and athletic directors who many years ago started caring about college baseball. Facilities started springing up, and they were being renovated. New ones were being built, and there was an emphasis on the sport. And when Joe Hull made the hire of Monty Lee down at the College of Charleston, I remember it was a big deal. Mm-hmm. And he and I visited a little bit about different candidates, and he ended up hiring Monty. But it was important that baseball be successful at the College of Charleston. So I think that it's difficult. It's difficult for the big names to maybe be as successful as they were many years ago because the competition is different. And as you know, in baseball, you can get beat. You can't. Sometimes in other sports you wear teams down, or you're bigger, faster, stronger, and that makes it different. College baseball, you can put a 5'8" lefty on the mound, and he can handcuff you, mm-hmm. and you have trouble winning. So it's a great game. It's a very humbling game, and it'll tear your heart out many times. I can speak from experience, but it's a great game.
Obviously, we're in an area of the country where you have the warmer weather. You can start training a little bit earlier, start playing a little earlier. Of course, legislation kind of tried to make an even playing field with the northern and Midwest schools. But is it going to be tougher for southern schools to get host regional sites? I mean, we're seeing a gravitation into the Big Ten and now more regionals out on the West Coast. How do you see that balance wearing out in the future?
No, I think you bring up a good point. I think that maybe many years ago you got host opportunities in the Southeast because there were a lot of good programs, and because a lot of schools maybe in the Northeast or Midwest didn't even bid to host a regional, and those days are gone. Those programs are now successful. They're investing in the programs, and they're bidding for regionals. So I think there is a little bit of a shift that is taking place, and there's also still conversation in the college baseball circles about moving the season back. Which I don't know, but I've heard March 1st or maybe even a little bit later. So we'll see. But there's a lot of competition around the country in college baseball.
Do you think Missouri, with their 15 SEC wins and a win in the tournament, the SEC tournament, do you think they should have gotten in?
So it was a little bit surprising because it was a different precedent that we went to with the team games. And they really did not play well, not only down the stretch, but in the second half of the season. I didn't look at all of their metrics, but I feel comfortable that if they didn't get in, that the numbers just weren't in their favor, because they did have 15 wins in the SEC. In 1999, I believe it was, we won 15 games and didn't get in. Now, the field was only 48 at the time, but I do remember those times. So it can happen. And they had a really great first half and not second half.
All right, Coach, hang on if you would. We got to take a quick break. Got a couple of more questions for you. Maybe touch on a couple of things with your athletic department here as we head towards the summer. USC AD and soon-to-be member of the Baseball Tournament Selection Committee, Ray Tanner, with us here on Sports Talk. Okay, we're back, and we're back with USC AD Ray Tanner. Before we finish up on the baseball tournament, let me ask you, end of the day, who's going to be the last team standing in Omaha?
Wow, that's a tough one. And call me biased, but I would say an SEC team. I just think we've got some opportunities with, maybe 4 teams, but certainly 3 teams that are going to be good enough to make a run, and with great pitching and ability to score runs and play great defense. So I'm going to be biased. I'm going to say an SEC team.
As well as the Clemson team, and I'm sure you know them pretty well, and they're going out there to Fullerton. Do you think the Tigers, with that, especially their first 2 starting pitchers, you think they can get a couple of wins out there?
Well, I tell you, Crownover can beat anybody. There's no question about it. And Irwin has pitched well down the stretch too. But Crownover, I think, has emerged as one of the better lefties in the country. So even though they've got to go across the country, that he could make it on an opponent and keep them in the winner's bracket. And Clemson had a lot of pressure on them down the stretch, just as some other schools did in making the tournament. And sometimes once you take a deep breath and they get a chance to relax, now they're in the tournament, maybe they will play well out on the West Coast.
All right, now while you've been down in Florida having fun and frolicking, we've been simmering in controversy here in the state over this Palmetto Family Council and Dabo Sweeney, who pulled out of a appearance there next week. And it was duly noted that recently, I think in the last year, that your foundation was honored by the Palmetto Family Council. You have any thoughts about what has transpired here in the last couple of days involving that group, and also maybe how it reflects on you and your organization?
I really haven't been able to follow it closely. A couple of people have sent me an article or 2, and it seems like it was a longer time ago than when our foundation was honored. My wife and I were contacted whenever that time was, and we were informed that our foundation was going to be recognized as an organization that had given back to the community and helped out disadvantaged children and their families, and they asked if we would come accept the award. And we actually had a previous engagement, but we did go and accept the award. I did not make any speeches, and we stayed for just a brief time. Then we went on to our other function. So that was my involvement when I did accept an award on behalf of our foundation.
Now that this has come out, and there's been accusations from one side about what this organization stands for and some of the things that they're pushing for. Do you feel any need to revisit that award in any form or fashion and perhaps return it, or you just move on?
Well, I'm a part of a lot of different events and organizations, and very rarely do I understand any particular mission, and so I don't share my preferences politically, religious, or otherwise. So I really didn't look at it as a situation that was negative or was going to cause any controversy. I certainly didn't go into it with any of those thoughts whatsoever.
To the university and the work around Williams-Brice Stadium, it continues. Is it on schedule? Will everything be done in time for your home opener?
Well, having been a part of numerous construction projects in the past, it's exciting, it's invigorating, and it's challenging to get to the end, especially when you have dates, and we got one in football, and we've got other projects ongoing as well, and we have to get there. Phil, we got to make those deadlines, and the field house that's in process right now, we'd like to be finished there certainly by August 1st, so our football team would have those opportunities. And you mentioned the plaza around Williams-Brice. We play at home, I guess, September 12th. So it's got to be finished, and certainly things are going well. But you could have weather delays, you could have issues, and if we lose time, we're going to have to make it up. So I have complete confidence in our contractors and people on the project, and Kevin O'Connell is monitoring it on a daily basis. So we're excited, and we're confident that we'll get there before the deadlines.
Coach, as always, we appreciate your time being with us here tonight on Sports Talk. Enjoy the rest of your stay in Florida. Don't spend that SEC TV money all at one place down there. You know, bring some of it back.
Well, we've got to continue to try to move our department, as you know, and we got to support our student athletes and with resources and facilities. So we're excited to be a part of the SEC.
Got to pay those coaches. and those ADs. All right. we do thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, Ray Tanner, there you go. We asked him the question about the council. So
and again, he essentially said they got a call. He had something to do. They went by to pick up the award and left. He wasn't aware of any kind of connections and ties and didn't research that. And he said he doesn't publicly make political statements, and that's not what he was trying to do there. And I think people might have been reading too much into what Dabo was trying to do.
Okay, we'll be back with recruiting in a moment. Thanks again to Ray Tanner for joining us tonight from down in Florida. Now to recruiting. Linebacker Kenneth Ruff from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, plans to have a top 10 on June the 1st. Two teams that will make the list, USC and Clemson, and North Carolina will be a third. It's got nearly 30 offers. Some of the others are Kentucky, Cincinnati, Georgia Tech. Been favoring USC. That remains the case. Recruiters Lorenzo Ward and Deke Adams by the school this spring. He's going to attend USC's camp on June the 12th. And he likes the USC staff, and he likes how they are approaching him. He did not rule out the possibility of a commitment at the camp, but he said he might wait until he takes official visits in the fall. Clemson DC, Brent Venables, also through this spring to check on Ruff. Tigers have his strong interest as well. And he might visit Alabama May 31st. Then he's going on a college tour, starting with Florida State June 9th. And that tour will include other stops, USC, Michigan State, Arkansas, and others. He said USC's lead on the field is not by a wide margin. Clemson today offered 2017 offensive lineman Noah DeHond from Hightstown, New Jersey. In basketball, 6'2" shooting guard Keyshawn Woods, transferring from Charlotte, not rushing to a second decision this time around. Of course, he did an unofficial USC earlier this month. That's been his only visit so far, and he's not any other trips at this point. He said he hears from the Gamecocks pretty much every day. He's trying to decide where he will visit. because he's still getting calls from other schools. He mentioned Creighton, St. Joseph's, VCU, Hofstra, Nevada, Wake Forest, Tennessee as schools he's heard from most recently. And from that group will likely come his other visits. The recruiting dead period for basketball ends tomorrow, and Wood said he would resume his visits soon after recruiting goes live. And he said he really likes South Carolina at this point, but he's not ready to call anybody a favorite. And he'll be enrolling for the second session of summer school once he makes his decision. All right, there you go with recruiting. Don't forget, you can check out our recruiting on the air here, online as well on our website, sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter. Use the hashtag STRecruiting. Takes you right to the stories. I also want to mention Ebenezer Okindeko. Remember him? Mm-hmm. Turns out the charges against him, this according to the 13th Circuit Solicitor's Office, with whom I spoke today, just checking in on this situation. The charge against him is a misdemeanor, not a felony. And no court date that they had any records of at this point in time. So just thought I'd throw that out there, that it was a misdemeanor and not a felony. Make of it what you will. USC and Clemson released their APR reports today. Both did extremely well. All their teams are above the cut line, so to speak, for staying out of trouble with the NCAA when it comes to academics. So that's good news as well. We'll have time for your calls, and also NCAA Men's Golf Championship talk coming up.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
And we are back here on Sports Talk. Good to have you with us. We got time for some phone calls now. We appreciate those of you who tried to get through. We're very busy in that first hour. As I say something funny?
No, sorry, I'm reading our Twitter feed.
Oh, stay off
There's
our
some
Twitter feed.
people.
Stay away from it. 800-956-7266 is the number. We do have some emails we'll get to. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. The Twitter feed is @sportstalksc. If you haven't signed up to be a part of our loving family of Twitter followers, I suggest you do. And
surprised we still have any after today.
And on Facebook, it is @SportsTalk Radio Network. No Mike Morgan. Mike's on a plane to nowhere. Actually, he's going to Gainesville, Florida to do the broadcast of the Florida Regional.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll hear from him down there tomorrow. In Major League the Braves last night, 8-0. They did complete that trade, right?
Yeah.
They did complete that trade.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to leave LA with Juan Uribe. So not all is lost. I like Juan Uribe, but the Dodgers have a logjam there with infielders.
Why would the Dodgers want Stoltz other than the fact that they might just
They
load
optioned him
up?
today,
Yeah,
so I don't know how much they do
yeah.
want him.
All right, quickly to the phones we go, and down to Pawleys Island. We welcome John to the program, listening to us, I would guess, out of Charleston on 98.9. Hi, John, and welcome into Sports Talk.
Couple of recruiting questions I got. The basketball kid from Columbia that had committed to Virginia Commonwealth here, a couple of, I think maybe he might have decided on Texas. Is that where he's going?
Yes,
him on.
Tevin Mack.
Yeah, it is Texas.
It is,
Okay. The other one is you were talking about him the other day, this Feaster kid from up in the upper part of the state. I think he's a Clemson football recruit.
Yes, the running back from Spartanburg.
Yeah, is he a rising senior, or did he graduate this past? Is he graduating this year?
No, he's a rising senior.
Okay, and you mentioned something about some kind of a track meet he had run in and had done real well.
Yeah, the state high school championships.
Okay, what was it? 100-meter dash?
100-meter dash. He ran one of the fastest times in the country. I'll tell you what that was in just a moment. But he had sort of a so-so junior year in track, and apparently really wanted to turn it on in the state championships. That's where everything matters, and that's where you set the actual state records. They do that in the state finals, and he was fast. Let's see here if I can tell you very quickly what he did here in the 100 meters. Let's see. 3A, 4A state championships. I can't put my fingers right on it. I'll have to research that and get back to you. But he was really quick,
He's
to say the least. And he's got great speed and great elusiveness, and he'd be the best player in the state, most highly touted player in the state in 2016. We'll be back. Take more phone calls. 800-956-7266 is the phone number if you'd like to join us. 800-956-7266. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to be joined by the golf coaches from Clemson, Larry Penley and USC Bill McDonald, together to talk about the NCAA championships beginning on Friday, their teams, the course. Be a lot of fun with those two going back and forth, talking about their teams and maybe each other. Perhaps their paths will cross in the tournament in some form or fashion. That'll be coming up at the bottom of the hour. 800-956-7266. Anything we've been talking about that you want to opine about, feel free to give us a call. Tavian Feaster in the 100-meter dash in the 4A state finals, he ran a 10.42. So that was the fastest, won the championship, of course, and one of the fastest in the country. He ran in the 200 meters. He ran a 21:11. That's fast as well. He won that too. He won the 100 meters and the 200 meters. You know, speed is one of those things that really you either have it or you don't. I know there are things you can do to help you click a fraction of a second off the clock here and there, exercises, weight training, starts, and all this sort of stuff, and technique. But that's just one, what makes somebody fast compared to somebody of a similar build who is slow?
I don't know, but I will tell you this. A lot of it, as you said, is technique, because remember when Trendon Holiday, the short kick returner for LSU, they said that he could not, even though he was very fast, he would not be good at pro track because he was so short. His strides weren't good enough. You remember when you could see O.J. Simpson when he was wide open, 2 steps was 5 yards. I mean, guys looked like they were running faster than he was, and his stride, he was just leaving them in the dust. So yeah, a lot of it is technique.
He was even faster running from police. I think he did 7 yards in 2 strides.
They were pretty slow in that white Bronco, as I recall.
K-Mac, you were a
cross country. Yeah.
What made you so fast?
Yeah, just cross country. It's not really about speed; it's endurance.
Yeah,
but
jumping over things.
No, it's not.
I thought you had to jump over things.
It's not an obstacle course, Cornblue.
I thought you had to jump. Didn't you run?
A guy
through
that's
forests?
made his life in profession in sports, you sure
didn't you have to run through
rudimentary knowledge,
stuff, right? Didn't you have to do that?
You run down some trails from time.
That's what I mean.
But
so
you
probably
on a wall.
I'm not saying steeplechase
across a moat.
Yeah, I'm not saying steeplechase.
Not the mud run.
But I will say this: speed and football speed are two different things. I've seen fast guys who run into piles because they have no vision, and then you see a guy, and I know I'm going way back when I say this, but I'll use it. A guy who seems to break a lot of long runs, who wasn't particularly a speed merchant, was the old Alabama running back Bobby Humphrey. I mean, but he was always running 30, 40 yards because he had exceptional vision to go with, a decent speed, not great speed.
All right, let's update Major League Baseball. We have open lines if you want to join us, 800-956-7266. Final scores, a bunch of them in Major League Baseball this afternoon. Detroit over Oakland 3-2. San Francisco beat Milwaukee 3-1. Seattle shuts out Tampa Bay 3-0. I think that was King Felix pitching today for Seattle. The Mets shut out Philadelphia 7-0. Good news out of Minnesota. Minnesota beat the Red Sox 6-4. Better news out of the Bronx, 4-2. The Yankees over Kansas City. Yeah, baseball's such a funny game. Yankees went into that series really struggling. Kansas City had the best record in baseball. Yankees swept them. Would never have thought that going into that series. They win it 4-2. A-Rod hit another home run and moved up on the all-time RBI list. He's now third. Is it right? Third all-time RBI.
Yes. How do you inflict an asterisk when you're saying those numbers?
I don't.
Okay.
They are what they are. White Sox beat Toronto in 10, 5-3. Pittsburgh beat Miami 5-2. I saw Sam Dyson pitching in that game for Miami. In fact, he's the one that gave up the runs. Miami was ahead 2-0, and he was on the mound, and he gave up the tying and maybe go-ahead runs. Colorado beat Cincinnati 6-4, and Texas loses to Cleveland 12-3. Braves and Dodgers coming up later tonight. Another good pitching matchup to some degree. Wood against Greinke. How good was Kershaw last night? Did he go to distance? Did he? I know they had a shutout. Did he go to distance?
Yeah, I mean, he had a no-hitter, perfect game going through half of that. Ended up giving up a couple hits. I'm not sure if he went the distance or if he got pulled out there at the end. I didn't make all the way to the end when it was obviously well out of reach with the Dodgers, who had been struggling offensively until about the 8th inning of Game 1 against the Braves. The Braves are the slump buster of the National League,
especially when they go to that mid relief. The middle relief is not.
And the Braves are struggling in Los Angeles too.
They haven't won in Dodger Stadium in a while,
5 or 6 in a row or something. Baltimore leads Houston 4-1. That's in the 6th inning. A couple of other notes for you tonight. This actually came down last night or late yesterday. Clemson's Chris Oakey has accepted an invitation from USA Baseball to play for the 2015 Collegiate National Team this summer. First team All-ACC this year, and hitting .320, 16 doubles, 12 homers, 55 RBIs, having an outstanding year. And also yesterday, Dabo Swinney received the Gene Stallings Award in Dallas. The honor goes to honor college football head coaches who are also, it says, humanitarians and strive to promote healthy, vibrant communities through charitable and community service efforts. So another honor for Dabo Swinney. I mean, there's no doubt that Dabo, in his off-the-field work, has done nothing but good things and has tried to do good things for Clemson. There's some things that I see him do, and I see him and I hear him say that I sometimes question, as I think anybody has a right to do with anybody in a position of authority, football coach, politician, whatever the case may be. But I think he has tried very hard in several different ways to put Clemson in a positive light and to do good things for not just the Clemson community, but for the state as well. Reaching out in various ways.
A lot of coaches do that. I mean, they've been blessed with a job that, although pressure packed, it does, bless them with a largesse that they can do certain things, charitable things, and draw other people with largesse into contributing to the cause.
The major non-news story of the week: the legislators from South Carolina Tuesday night defeated the legislators from North Carolina 66-63 in their biannual basketball game. So now North Carolina leads the all-time series 10-7. So you're telling me that they have better basketball players in the legislature in North Carolina than we do here?
You got to get like DJ Mackey and a lot of guys in office, I guess.
We got to improve the talent in the legislature.
Get Trevor Booker to run.
You got to play some defense.
Just to stack it.
Trevor Booker. Anyway, congratulations to South Carolina for getting it done there in the legislature. 800-956-7266 is the phone number. We get ready for the NCAA baseball tournament now, beginning on Friday. Sites around the country. To me, the NCAA baseball tournament, the format is very exciting. The first round of regionals, that first Friday, teams are getting out there with their top pitchers. For the most part, you see some great baseball games. But the super regionals, I think, are one of the great sports weekends that we have. Best 2 out of 3, pressure packed. I've seen great moments in person, both at South Carolina and Clemson and other locations as well, Coastal Carolina. I think college baseball has done it right with their playoff format.
I will say this. I still think this first weekend is very exciting because you never know when the next Stony Brook or Dallas Baptist is going to spring their ugly head and just freak out some people when they see the final scores.
Well, you got a lot of possibilities this year with some of the teams in the field. We'll be right back. More Sports Talk coming up. right, we have a tweet in from Scott Hood. How Blake play from Gamecock Central. I can't say Scott Hood without thinking of his every practice question to Lou Holtz. How Blake play? He says that Don Staley said that women's basketball is close to adopting 4 10-minute quarters rather than the 2 20-minute halves that they have now. 4 10-minute quarters coming up for women's basketball. Okay.
All right.
See how that works out. Back to the phones we go. And we are headed to Harold in Georgetown. Listening to us. Where are you listening to us from, Harold?
It's 100.3.
Oh, good. Our station in Myrtle Beach. Thank you. Good to have you with us.
Oh, okay. Two comments I'd like to make. One on baseball and one on football.
Okay.
The baseball comment is about A-Rod breaking the RBI record. You know, I'm a baseball purist. Love the game. I believe the baseball players are born. They're not made. And I tell you what, for him to do some of the things that the last thing he did admit it. He did admit to it. Okay. So, compared to what Pete Rose done, I think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I think it's wrong to keep him out. What he did after the game, and he didn't cheat anybody. Now, I know there's a sign up in the locker room saying no gambling. But every time anybody in the steroids era threw a ball, caught a ball, hit a ball, or anything that they did when they was on performance-enhancing drugs or anything else, they cheated the game I love. I don't think they should ever, how many records they break, I don't think they should ever be in the Hall of Fame. You know, and I'm sorry, but, you know, that's just the way I feel. I think Pete Rose, hopefully this summer, with the All-Star game in Cincinnati, hopefully they will give him his due. I was a Braves fan all my life, and I'm still one. And as a little boy, I used to hate to see Pete Rose come to Atlanta because I knew what he was going to do to the Braves. And he did it. He didn't disappoint. He did it. I mean, you know, when he came home and he's in the All-Star game and he knocked that catcher down, there wasn't a big thing about Pete Rose being dirty or anything because that was just the way he played.
That was
he
way
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's time for Pete Rose to go into the Hall. I think the points you make are valid, and I think with this new commissioner, the fact that he's now part of Fox's TV coverage, they're bringing him back. They're bringing him back slowly, gradually, and I think he realizes. And this might have been hastened had he not been so stubborn. Yeah. Pig-headed about everything.
They're going to bring him back before Shoeless Joe. He's going to get in the Hall before Shoeless Joe.
Rose, and he was a ballpark. That's why he snatched 5 balls out of there.
Well, I mean, maybe Shoeless Joe deserves to be in too because there's a lot of people who
I would say
testify he was innocent. Well, not testify, they're dead.
Well, see, the problem.
And we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Been a very, very busy night. Been a fun night. And the fun will continue. Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, Professor Tom Hayes, as we welcome in two more coaches in our state who have a chance to win a national championship as the NCAA Men's Golf Championships begin on Friday down in Florida. Let's welcome in USC golf coach Bill McDonald, Clemson golf coach Larry Penley to Sports Talk. Coach,
I'm doing great, Phil. How are you?
we're doing great. Good to have you with us. Coach Penley, how you doing?
Hey, Phil. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for the two of you for scheduling with us and agreeing to join us together. We've done this before when we had Coach Leggett and Coach Tanner on from the College World Series, so it's kind of neat. First of all, Bill, how have preparations for your guys gone this week as you get ready for the start of the tournament?
I think it's gone fairly well. We actually came down on Sunday and unfortunately they really struggled. I think not quite sure the USGA and NCAA knew they were getting into this golf course, and the way they set it up for the girls, it was really over the top, way too difficult for them. They softened it up, moved some tees up for them the last couple of days, but so to be perfectly honest with you, what we witnessed out there on Sunday was a little bit rough, but nevertheless, I think it was good to walk the golf course and just see the green complexes and see the routing. None of our guys had ever seen the course, so I think that was good. And then we just practiced the last couple of days and hung out down here, and looking forward to getting on the golf course tomorrow.
Sure, Larry. How about your guys? What have you seen of the course?
I've seen it on TV. Just watched the conclusion, which ended about 3 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty exciting. And I have to agree with Bill. I think there's some shots out there that look pretty intimidating off the tee, but nothing that we haven't seen. But the green complexes do look, if they get them firm and fast, which I think they did today. I think all the coaches were talking about them speeding up a little bit. They can put them hole locations in some crazy spots. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They can do anything they want to in match play, but I'm like Bill. You've got to be a little careful in medal play, or you're going to be looking at 6-hour rounds, and trying to get 30 teams through 54 holes could be a chore.
Yeah, and of course. Yeah, what's the weather going to look like starting things up on Friday?
Well, we're in South Florida, so I think there's a chance of rain pretty much every day down here this time of year. So we'll see. I think there's 40-50% chance of thunderstorms just about every day. Isn't that right, Coach? I think so. What I've seen is 50-52%, which I mean it either will or it won't. It's a I don't think it rains long. Passing through Gully Washer, and then it's over. So it looks like the greens could use a little rain.
Huh. Well, we had a big rain here in Columbia, so happy to tell you here in South Carolina we got some wet stuff to get into our yards. Bill, what about your players getting ready for the tournament? The guys that have done the good work for you all season long, I imagine you're counting on those guys to step up and maybe kick it into another gear. Is that possible?
Well, they seem to at times be able to do that. I wish I could figure out a way to package up what they did on the last 9 holes in Bremerton. I've just been really fortunate this year to have Buds and Matt and Neesmith and Will Stark, and then we've got fifth man has just went off at regionals a couple weeks ago. So if we get that kind of play, it could be a really from everybody. It could be a really special week.
Coach Penley, your guys, you seem to be playing your best golf going into this week. Your great finish at the Yale tournament, the ACC championship as well, and then 5th place at your regional. Is it correct to say that your guys are peaking here at the right moment and you're getting your best group play going in?
Yeah, I think so. We played very, very well at the conference. We had a chance to beat Georgia Tech. We just didn't do it. And I really felt like we played solid at the regionals. And just getting here was a blessing. I feel like I was pretty excited about the team getting here. I'm a little different than Bill. I don't have the horses. I don't have the one or two guys that can go out and win a golf tournament. I've got to do it with 5 guys. All 5 of our guys have got to be in the ball game. All 5 of our guys have got to contribute every day. And if we can, who knows what can happen. But I think the guys are loose. Our preparation has been good. If you hadn't found a way to prepare up until now, you really can't you really can't expect it to come together here. You kind of build a season for this and hope that it
what do you say to your guys when you cut them loose Friday? And what do you say to it? Like Coach said, you got the great players, and you just hope they go out and play at their very best. But what kind of things do you, from a coaching standpoint, what do you say to them?
Well, Finley's actually won one of these, and I never have. So I still feel like, even though I've been doing this for 9 years, that it's still relatively new to it. It's such a long week. That's one of the things since we changed our format that to be honest with you, is a little bit of a, if you actually do make it through and you get into some match play, you're talking about playing a heck of a lot of golf and a lot of heat. And I think my biggest thing to them is just to try to stay steady and patient as best they can. I think it's the combination of the physical toll that it takes on you with the pressure of trying to win a national championship. I think you just want them to as best they can relax and just go steady through the whole process.
Now, Larry, why are you guys just getting down there today?
Well, we didn't have a women's team to come watch, and I knew it was on television, so we did go to the South Carolina coast and found some pretty firm, fast Bermuda greens for the last 2 days. So we kind of did that, and just to get out of town and get the guys on the road a little bit. And, that's really been the way that we've prepared, was just really let's get away from Clemson. Let's go play some golf. So that's kind of what we did. And we took our time driving down today, and hopefully the guys hopefully they'll be ready to play.
Where'd y'all play along the coast?
We went to the Secession Club right outside of Beaufort, and it's in absolutely perfect shape. The greens were very firm, very fast. It was not a Nicklaus golf course, but the green complexes are somewhat, not anywhere near as again, we did also fast greens. We're probably rolling 11, 12. I think those greens today were rolling close to 13, 14 in spots. So, it'll be somewhat of a minor adjustment.
You tee off at 8:40 on Friday. You've got Florida and Duke playing with you. What about you, Bill? What time do y'all tee off, and who are you playing with?
I know we're playing with with Illinois and I think Vanderbilt. To be honest with you, I don't know what time we go. I'll figure that one out.
Yeah.
It's in the afternoon. I know that.
You're in the afternoon wave?
Yes.
Okay. Guys, good luck to you. We'll be checking in with you as you go through the tournament. Hope it goes well for you. And, boy, it'd be great to see both the Gamecocks and the Tigers in that match play, facing off in some form or fashion or going against whomever for a chance to win national championship. Best of luck to you guys. Bill McDonald, Larry Penley, golf coaches at USC and Clemson, respectively. We thank them for their time with us here tonight on Sports Talk. Wishing the best of luck, and we'll be back in a moment. And thanks to the coaches for being with us tonight, Bill McDonald and Larry Penley. Again, good luck to them as they, boy, that concession course, that thing must be a bear. It did eat up the women. It just totally devoured the women's teams. Their numbers were incredibly high, and they're going to make it easier for the men. So soften it up and move those tees up a little bit. They should have done that for the ladies. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Good luck. Who knows? We could have a national champion coming out of the state of South Carolina. That'd be pretty cool. 800-956-7266. Got time for more of your phone calls if you want to join us tonight. And wanted to mention more about Bill Foster, who passed away today, age 79. Coached at Clemson, took him to the Elite Eight, 1980 NCAA tournament. Interesting, it was Larry Nance, of course, who was the star of that team, and Larry Nance who handed out the award last night for the NBA Eastern Conference Championship to Cavaliers. Coach Foster passed away in Charlotte, long battle with Parkinson's. Native of Hemingway, only coach to serve as the head coach of 3 current ACC schools, Clemson, Miami, Virginia Tech. I forgot about Virginia Tech. In fact, he was the coach that resurrected the Miami basketball program. He was the coach they hired when they restarted the program.
One of his major recruits out of Dominican, 7-foot Tito Horford, father of Al Horford.
Okay, very nice. Born on April 1st. How about that? Born on April Fool's Day, 1936. Head coach, 30 years at 5 schools, a record of 532 and 325, 21 winning seasons, 11 seasons with at least 20 victories. He coached Clemson and Virginia Tech to the NCAA tournament, had a 4-2 tournament record, started the basketball program at Charlotte as well, and then restarted at Miami, and was noted for taking big men, many of whom were lightly recruited, and making them into star players, including Cornbread Maxwell, Tree Rollins, Larry Nance, Horace Grant, Ace Custis.
Ace Custis, I forgot about him. Now, let's face it. Now, Tree was heavily recruited.
Yes, he was. Now, but Tree was recruited by his predecessor.
Yeah, Taze Locke.
Yeah. Now, I guess it was Foster that recruited the Grants. I think so. Yes, I remember that now. And I remember on signing day that year, had never heard of Horace and Harvey Grant out of Sparta, Georgia. And boy, when they got to Clemson, they were string beans. They really were. But they were, what talent. That's the kind of thing you have to come up with from time to time. If you're that level basketball program, you stumble upon something and the guys develop, and especially big men, they all of a sudden, like David Robinson at Navy. He enrolled at Navy as a 6'7" forward, continued to grow and became a 7-foot center. Of course, one of the great players of all time.
The interesting thing about the Grants is the fact that, of course, Harvey went on and bolted and went to junior college and swore to everybody he was going to Georgia State. And I think it was Billy Tubbs ended up saw how well he could shoot from mid-range and brought him to Oklahoma. And that was the strange thing about them, is like Horace was a ferocious rebounder. If those twins would have stayed together, they had a combination of talents that would have worked at both forward spots, because one had the deadly mid-range, the other one was just a beast on the backboard.
I did not know that he once was the head coach at Marion High School in 1959. Was 42 and 21 in 3 years there. Also was an assistant coach at the Citadel in 1967 before he went to UNC Charlotte. And then the rest is history in terms of his big-time college basketball experience. So sorry to hear about the passing of Coach Foster. I'll never forget one time interviewing him on the phone. I was working in Spartanburg, and Clemson was going to be playing Presbyterian the next night. And PC was an NAIA school at the time. This was back in the early 80s.
District 6.
Yeah. And I said, quite innocently, I said, what do you hope to gain out of playing Presbyterian? And his response, I could feel the heat coming through the phone. What do I hope to gain? We're going for a win. I don't have to make excuses for my schedule to you or anybody. We play a game, we going for a win. I'm like, okay, that was the end of that conversation. So Anyway, sorry to hear about the passing of Bill Foster. Not to be confused with the Bill Foster that coached at South Carolina. Let's see. One was William Carey Foster, and one was William Edmund Foster. I think William Edmund was at Carolina, and William Carey, I think, was
Utah,
at Clemson. I think so. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, final minutes of our program here on Wednesday nights. Been a very busy program. We'll have more good stuff for you tomorrow night as we get ready for the regionals. By the way, for you Clemson fans, the Clemson Insider is in Fullerton, California, to cover the Tigers. As far as I know, that's one website headed to California to cover the Tigers. It's a free site, and so if you're looking for some inside information, you can find it there at theclemsoninsider.com. In fact, they tweeted out a picture this afternoon from Goodwin Field in Fullerton, California. So they'll have coverage for you there. If you need more than the norm, of course, the Clemson school sports website will have coverage as well. I'm not sure if any I would think the Anderson newspaper, the Orange and White, that group would be going out to the regional as well. We will catch the Tigers if they win in a super regional, maybe in Louisville. I would say in all likelihood that's where it would be. I expect Louisville to win their regional. So they would go there for their next regional. We'll pick them up there, and who knows if they get there, then who knows, maybe on the Omaha for the Tigers. Wouldn't that be something if this Clemson team found a way to get to Omaha with all the stuff that's been thrown against it from all the different angles?
Well, of course, what was that I was talking about the other day? Was it Fresno State, and one of those West Coast schools staggered into the NCAA tournament and won the whole thing?
Yeah, Fresno State.
Fresno State.
That's what you said, yeah. All right, Pro, what do we have tonight in the NBA playoffs winding down? It
will be out west in the Loud Oracle Arena. Stephen Curry with a bump on his head. That was a dangerous after what happened. I said, looks like around the NBA, the healthiest team is going to win it. And I said, the healthiest team is Golden State And the words were half out of my mouth is when he took that tumble.
Yeah.
So it can happen at any time. But I suspect they'll close it out tonight. By the way, Dwight Howard, I thought when they revisited his shot in that game the other night that he was going to be asked to sit. But apparently they said, well, we got to have one interesting game, so they're going to let him play.
Well, the reason the officials the NBA gave for him not being suspended is that his fist was not closed. It was an open-handed thing, and
very nice.
He was reacting to, was it Bogut who was wrapping up around him, and he was just trying to push him off, and his hand
so the next
flailed
time
back and
hand.
had open-handed sort of thing, not the closed fist.
So
sort
next
of thing.
time Al Horford comes down on Dellavedova,
J.R. Smith,
keep the open hand.
Yeah, keep the hand. Yeah, that might make the difference. Okay, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you guys for your major contributions. Thank you, State Man, for a great job. And thank you, Larkin Belton. I got it without my verbal cues there for your great work. And we will see you back here tomorrow night on Sports Talk. Have a good night.